Okay, so let's get to our third and final question here. It's prediction time. Our favorite time where we talk about how wrong we are often. Portland plays 3 more games before we meet again next Thursday for the next round of 3-on-3. So the Blazers are at Indiana on Friday, Milwaukee on Saturday, and they host New Orleans in the home opener on Tuesday at the Moda Center. So what do you think the Blazers' record will be the next time that we are here talking about it? Which of these 3 games do you have them winning? And, of course, which ones will they lose? Jared?
I think they'll be 3-1 when we talk next Thursday. I think that we're probably all going to feel probably the same on this. I think they're going to beat the Pacers. The Pacers, they lost Paul George, and they're just not one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference. And it is at Indiana, so that could be tough. But the Pacers didn't really play well last night. They didn't show much. And so, they scored 140 points, but they also gave up 132 to the Nets. And so they're going to have a harder time against the Blazers. So I think the Blazers win that game. I think the Blazers, with the home opener, the excitement of the home crowd, they're going to beat the Pelicans. The Pelicans still kind of look like a mess. They didn't play well last night either. But I think the one game they're going to lose is against the Bucks. I think Giannis he had 37 points and 13 rebounds last night or something, and they beat the Celtics on the road. They just shut down Kyrie Irving and Marcus Smart, the starting guards for Boston. So I think that even Dame and CJ might have some trouble against that defense. That's going to be a really tough game.
Yeah, I just want to point out our producer, Max, thought the Blazers would be 0-1 at this point in the season. So just giving you a little bit of love.
Yes, I was waiting for the shade to be handed out.
To be fair to me, the reverse jinx is very powerful.
Strategy involved.
Yes. 48 points.
We're going to need that later, Max, for the big games down there.
Yeah, save that power here. Save it for the Warriors when they come to town.
I'll save it for my trip to Vegas, man.
But I agree with Jared on the 3-1 record. I agree on the same exact games that they win. I think they get a day off here to kind of just soak in what they did yesterday. They stayed in Phoenix last night. They've flying out to Indianapolis today. I think they'll beat the Pacers. They're a better team. And one thing we talked about that they need to improve on this year is to beat the Eastern Conference teams that they're better than. And so this is going to be their first test at it. It's on the road, but they are a much better team than the Pacers. This is a game they should go out and win by probably double digits if they go out and play the way they can. And so I'm not sure how much they'll win by, but I think they'll definitely beat Indiana on Friday. And I'm with you on Milwaukee on Saturday. Road back-to-backs are always difficult regardless. Milwaukee and Indianapolis aren't that far away, but regardless, it's hard to play a game on a night, hop on a plane, get very little sleep, and come out and play another basketball game. It's also back-to-back for Milwaukee, but they are at home in those back-to-backs. So one thing I think that will work in the Blazers' favor against the Bucks on Saturday is Milwaukee plays Cleveland on Friday night, and I'm sure that's a game that Giannis and the rest of that team, it's like the Warriors in the Western Conference. That's a game you circle.
Right.
And they have Cleveland at home, and I'm sure they want to try to send an early season message to say, hey, people don't think the Bucks can, challenge Cleveland in the East, but we're here to show that we can. And so I think they might have a lot of focus and put a lot of energy into that game, that they might come out perhaps a little lack of focus or lackadaisical against the Blazers on Saturday. So I think that could work in the Blazers' favor. But in the end, Giannis is such a matchup nightmare. Like, we talked about how great the Blazers' defense was yesterday. That will be a real test for them to see how they handle the Bucks on Saturday. I just think it's going to be a little too much for them to handle. And I agree, the home opener against New Orleans, the crowd's going to be into it. The energy's going to be there. In New Orleans, everyone thought when they made the trade for Boogie Cousins last year, that would be their taking off point.
Right.
And it just hasn't happened.
No.
And so I think the Blazers take care of that, and they'll be 3-1 when we talk next week.
New Orleans got waxed last night by the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
And the Grizzlies are a good team, but I don't think anyone saw that coming. They weren't competitive. So
This question was a sweep.
Yeah.
All 3 of us voting the same way, picking the same record, picking the same game. I just think that the way that this lines up is pretty nice for you to have to go on a 3-game road trip to open the season. These are the type of teams that you probably want to play when you get the Suns and the Pacers. to your guys' point, the Pacers just aren't as talented, so this is a game that they should win. If there's any cause for concern, it's the fact that you got to go to the East Coast and you get to play a couple of games out there before you come back. Historically, having to go from the West to the East is always a challenge, no matter how good the competition or bad competition is. So I think if there's any room for concern, it would be on that they've got to travel. And to your point, man, we continue to say this over and over, Nate, but these road trips, they've got to win these road trips against inferior competition. And it doesn't mean you have to sweep it. No. It doesn't mean you have to go 3-0, but you've got to win them. So you've got to go 2-1. And I think that this is a great opportunity to do that against the Pacers. I'm with you guys, man. Giannis, he's the Greek freak for a reason, man. Giannis Antetokounmpo. I think that's how it's said.
Nice work. I wasn't even going to try that.
But the Greek freak, man, and I just think that 37 points is going to feel kind of pedestrian for him. I think that it's going to be kind of old after a while with this guy. And low-key, for casual basketball fans out there that will tune in, I think the Bucks are going to become more and more popular because of this cat. More people are going to know about the Bucks and realize, oh, yeah, that's not an automatic W when you go to Milwaukee. And I think that's the trouble that the Blazers will run into is he's a matchup nightmare, like you said. That's not a dude that you're going to be able to stop very easily. And the home game, I agree. I just think the Moda Center is going to be rocking. The type of energy that they're going to bring to the table when they get there, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be like Game 3 of the playoffs last year where they pushed the Warriors, probably one of their most competitive games in the playoffs. So, yeah, I just – unless it was a really, high-caliber team that was coming in for the season opener, I'm picking the Blazers just based on that, even before we talk about matchups and what Boogie Cousins can bring and that type of thing. But see how 3-1 it is.
Yeah, I mean, if they were to lose to another team, or if they were to go 3-1 and not lose to the Bucks, who do you think that would be? Do you think it'd be Indiana or New Orleans more likely?
I would take Indiana.
Same here.
I'd agree with
because
that.
it's a road game.
Yeah.
And like you said, the travel over to the East Coast.
I think we all feel very confident about that home opener. And maybe that should be the reason we don't feel as confident.
We'll see how smart we are next Thursday.
Yeah, and I know that it doesn't feel like it right now with New Orleans, but I think that they're going to figure out a way to get these guys rocking on the same page. I just think that it's going to take some time. This is kind of unconventional where you bring in two dynamic bigs to play on the same team. You're not seeing this type of thing. So they're kind of trying to figure this thing out. How do we become effective? How do we guard the perimeter when we still have these two bigs?
And I think that'll be an issue when they play the Blazers on
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yeah, so do I.